So this exact belief system quite literally took me from a broke immigrant in a broke Bulgarian immigrant knowing no English when we first moved to England, me and my family, to closing six figures in my coaching business at the time at the age of 21. I'm 26 now, so it's been a bit of a journey. I've made much more money than that. Um, but I'm just talking about this 1 year in that period or that one piece of kind of story, right? And I want to talk you through it because I think it's quite an interesting journey and I think there's a lot of lessons involved in this that you too can take if you feel stuck in life, in business, if you're doing well but you want to be doing better, if you want to get started but you're not quite making any progress online with your coaching business, whatever you might be. I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to just share my screen if that's okay, and I'm going to run you through kind of everything we've done, right? So the belief system I want to talk about is this, right? So for me personally, growing up, I effectively started quite close to zero. And what I mean by zero is obviously zero is different to many people, but just to give you some context on me, my story, my upbringing, I was a, let's do it like this. I was a Bulgarian immigrant. I was I moved to England with my family when I was young, so I was 7 when we moved. I moved to England, spoke no English. I was bullied a lot because of this. I was getting into fights, or more realistically, I was getting beaten up, like because I stood out. I didn't fit in. It was 2007, 2006 at the time, so it's not like it's not so socially accepted as it is now, right? To be in a different country and not speak English. From that time on, so I was maybe 6 or 7. By the time I turned 16, I think I realized one thing, and I'm not, and I think the reason I realized it is because of the gym. Um, by the time I was 15, 16, just before I joined the gym, right? One of the biggest things I realized is like I had a lot of this anger towards the world. So from here until here, there's other stuff that happened in my childhood, but it's not a story right now to talk about. So I had a lot of this anger at the world from here to here. So this is maybe 15 years of anger, 15 years or so of anger at the world because I didn't really control my life. I didn't really have much of a identity. I didn't really move forward. Then at 16 or by 15 more specifically, I joined the gym, and that's when I've started to realize I've got more control of my life. I've got more control of the things that I want to change, and ultimately, like what I realized in the gym is if you just work hard, you can quite literally solve a lot of problems. So like if you have a bad physique and you're not confident with how you look, if you just work hard, you can solve problems. I took that hard work and that kind of mindset and that outlook, and I applied it to business. So I applied it to many different businesses. Like the first one was a graphic design business, which failed miserably, but I was 15, 16. I was trying to design graphics of footballers and sell them on eBay. It didn't do well. I didn't make any money from that, minimal. So I took that on. Then I went into personal training because fitness changed my life, and that did better than the graphic design. I made good money doing that, or made money, and I had a fairly okay job, at the time. Then I went into online coaching. This happened because of lockdowns and a virus that happened in a time that we'll not talk about because of many reasons from the algorithm. So all of these stuff, again, was different in the sense of how the gym was. Because when you train in the gym, you work hard, you make progress, you see your body you see changes and you see results fairly quickly. It wasn't uncommon for me from 15 to 20 that if I just worked hard in the gym and I ate more food. I was getting stronger. I was at least getting stronger in at least one exercise in that kind of session because I was consistently eating more and I was pushing hard. Whereas with business, the progress isn't always linear. So you can work hard, but if you work hard and you're working on the wrong thing, like, you're not necessarily guaranteed to make more money. So that's a big realization, a big pivot I had from that point. So that's something that's different from a sense of business perspective. However, to tie it back in and bring it back to kind of full circle, and where I'm going with this video is in a few different directions. So one of the biggest things I want to leave you with from this video is your ability to grow and your ability to make money and your ability to help people online is ultimately down to a couple of things. If you simply do more than anyone else, or if you're simply prepared to get like enjoyment from doing these videos, from doing these tasks that you need to grow your coaching business, it's really, really, really hard for anyone to beat you, because your fun, and this only came from me being broke, and I only learned this after being broke and making money online and living life on my terms, right? And that's what I learned from that period. 6 figures, 100k here collected in my business, in my Stripe, 21 years old. Things at my work, like hands at my world, traveling the world, having fun. I didn't realize this until I made this money, like what to me was like freedom. And my parents didn't make anywhere near, like would never make 100k in a year, both of them combined. My mum was working at McDonald's, making like 15k per year. My dad making 25k per year. I made that in I made 3, 4, 5x what they made in a year. And what I learned from that period, from all of this, is ultimately that you aligning your happiness towards also the daily tasks of growth and actually finding stuff that's aligned to your happiness is gonna make your ability to have fun be much easier. Because I made this money when I was young, but I was also miserable. And I was miserable for many reasons. One of the biggest is because I wasn't true to myself. I wasn't expressing myself. I was set and I was trapped in an online agency which wasn't aligned to me. It was providing a service for business owners, for coaches, for consultants, but it didn't feel true to me, and I was still miserable. And it went on to this big kind of self-actualization and self-development journey from the time of finding myself and moving that forward. And where I'm going with all of this is that right now you probably feel stuck. If you're watching this video, you probably feel overwhelmed. You probably want to make more money because that's why you're probably here. But your ability to make these things happen becomes infinitely easier if you don't just say this, and you don't just have this as a goal, and you don't just chase this, make more money. If you chase this, it's going to be very hard to achieve that. If you chase 10k months, it's going to be very hard for you to achieve that. If you chase 5k months, if you chase any goal right here, it's going to be very hard, because this is all numbers. Numbers alone do not influence your happiness. Numbers are very hard for your brain to contextualize this, like the difference in lifestyle from this to this. It's very hard for your brain to contextualize this. And because of that, it's going to be very hard for you to have that strong why and that strong motivation to push on, like to really achieve it. So one of the best things you can do to actually do two things to achieve making more money, but also do it in a sense of making money. So we'll circle this. So you need two things, in my opinion, to run a successful business. One is achieve making more money and have good money. The second thing you need, in my opinion, is happiness and alignment. And people deeply kind of talk bad about happiness and talk bad about alignment. But the reason I like this a lot is because if you have both, it wouldn't feel like work. It'll feel so much more like play, and you'd have so much more fun. And that's what all of these videos that I'm posting, that's all of these things is trying to get across, right? Build a business that feels like you're having fun doing it. Build a business like you're having fun actually building it. So in a roundabout way, if you want to make a lot of money online, I would first start with really getting clear on like what does the lifestyle figure of that look like. And one of the best things I did, and I was advised to do this by a mentor, I was 16 when I did it the first time. I didn't do it correctly, and I only did it correctly after being burnt out, suicidal, after making all this money, is to write a letter in the present tense. So just write a letter saying basically to yourself, write out a letter and make that letter be 10 years from now, and make it write it in the sense of 10 years from now, but write it as if you've already achieved everything. So write the date is 7th of August, which is when I'm filming this, 2035. I'm so grateful that I have XYZ. If you do that and you actually go deep on these stuff here, your ability, for a couple things, your ability to have more fun building a coaching business is going to be higher. The second thing is you're going to have a much more stronger why. You're going to have much more motivation to actually push on and achieve it. But also, what I'd highly advise having is have clear things you're not willing to do. Because that's what most business owners forget about. Clear things you're not willing to do. So I coach a lot of coaches, right? I have a lot of students who are coaches and they're doing really well. Having this is really important because for them, having clear things they're not prepared to do and they're not willing to sacrifice makes a hell of a difference. So one of these things, for example, for one of my clients, Richard, is he has a family. He has 2 young kids. He wants to make sure every day he finishes his work at the latest, which is around 3 p.m. And that means he can spend the evening with his 2 daughters. That's Monday to Friday, and he has weekends to spend it with him, with them and his wife. That's one of them, for example. Another one might be, you see a lot of people posting content, and this by the way is one of mine, so I'm going to let you in on one of them. I've been in a lot of programs. I see a lot of people posting content which brings others down, like calls other people down. I'm personally not willing to do that. It could help me make more money. It could help me get more clients, more leads, but I've never been raised by my parents, by my grandma, to bring others down. So I'm never going to create content like ever that's going to be saying, I can't believe I've just seen someone do X. I hate that person so much. Like, if I just don't like something, I take it away from social media. I don't communicate with that person and move on. That's just one of mine, right? That's a random example. Another one that we have clients from is they don't necessarily like lots of cold messages, cold DMs. and we just maneuver a way to redo this and find a way that's ethical, that's appealing, and that works for them, and it's enjoyable, and it's within their morals. So whatever it might be, just getting really clear on what that looks like for you, like what you're not willing to do, is going to make it exponentially easier to move forward. But it's also going to mean that you can make much more money as a byproduct as well, right? Because if you can get, and when you get to your first 6-figure year with your online business, and you've done it in a way where you're not compromising on things that you feel aligned to, your general happiness, your fulfillment, everything goes up massively. So that's the two things I'd leave you with. So one is having that letter to your future you, or 10 years from now, like what is your life, how much money do you want to be making? If you can actually get clear on that, much more beyond 5k, 10k, 100k per month or per year, it makes it a lot easier. Because if you have clear if you have clear deeper reasons, and you have, your brain can contextualize what 100k per year online looks like how much can you travel, how much can you invest, how much are you doing for your family, for your wife, for your kids, whatever it might be, it'll make your life a lot easier. The second one is what are you willing to do, but also what are you willing to do, but also, like I mentioned, what you're not willing to do. If you have these two things in place, it'll be a lot easier. Because I did it just from sheer anger, sheer aggression, sheer ruthlessness of the world, and wanting to prove people wrong. I made money that way round at 21. I've had 5 years of doing things differently and figuring stuff out. And I'd much rather do it from a place of love, from a place of fulfillment, and not always be relying on that dark energy. That's where I would go with it to move forward with your business. If you want to work with me one-to-one to really identify this for you, if you want to build out your schedule, work on your beliefs, your systems to grow, to fix these issues and make success inevitable, one-to-one, there's a link in the description of this video. I hope you take value from this. It's very different style video, but I'm just speaking my truth. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit subscribe. If you want to work with me one-to-one, I'll leave that opportunity with you in the description down below.